Florida Congressman Cory Mills is currently in Israel. He's trying to help evacuate Americans.
Cory Mills is stepping up.
My name is Cory Mills, and I'm an America First conservative. And there's nothing that concerns me more than the America Last agenda that our government has today. They have no plan, no strategy, no way to actually prioritize the American lives.
I've made the decision on my own to leave D.C., to fly in, to start doing border crossings, and then getting people out day by day.
If the administration's unwilling to do their jobs, then members like myself and my colleagues can step up and do it for them.
What's up, AmFest? For those who don't know about me, you're going to find out in about 20 minutes. I'm very candid. First thing I'll tell you is I am unscripted and unvaccinated. So I grew up in a small town in Florida, went off to serve in the United States Army, served in the 82nd Airborne Division, served in the Joint Special Operations Command with CJTF-20. In total of my life, I spent over 7 years in Iraq, 3 years in Afghanistan, Kosovo, Pakistan, North Somalia, was blown up twice by roadside bombs. If you want to see a real squad, I've been a part of a real squad. And I'll tell you right now, the United States government does not do near enough to stand up and fight for our veterans. We prioritize the illegals on our borders before we do our own veterans. So let me tell you something. That time is over. We will prioritize our veterans, we will put our military first, and we will get back to an America First agenda that President Trump set us up on. Now, a lot of people think that when you come in as a brand new freshman, that you're supposed to just vote along to get along. Well, apparently they didn't know who I was. Because I'll tell you right now, I am not a Republican. I am a constitutional conservative. I may have been a Republican, and I've been registered my entire life as a Republican, but I'll tell you right now, that has been so diluted and watered down by these establishment, decade-long individuals who become politicians. We need to get back to what it is to be statesmen. We need to get back to what it is to be representatives. And we need to get back to fighting for the American people, not fighting for their individual right. That's why I like things like blocking stocks. I don't think anyone in office should be able to trade stocks, their spouse, or anyone else. You should be there to serve the people, not serve yourself. And as an Army combat veteran, I can tell you right now, I sit on the Armed Services Committee, I sit on the Foreign Affairs Committee, I sit on the Subcommittee of Intelligence Special Operations. I remember they came up to me recently and they said, well, you sit on the Armed Services, you have to vote for this new NDAA. I said, like hell I do. Let me tell you something. One of only 73 Republicans who voted against the National Defense Authorization Act. And you know why? Not because I don't love our military. I think that we need the strongest military that we've ever seen. But I'll tell you right now, I am not going to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm going to prioritize increased lethality, readiness, and being properly equipped. And not to mention the fact that our National Defense Authorization Act has one main goal: to protect our war fighters and get them prepared so they can go out and protect our privacy, our liberties, our rights, and our freedoms. So when you cram the deep state Section 702 under FISA, which has already been violated 287,000 times by the FBI, and they've admitted it, and they add that in there as a poison pill without reforms, yeah, put me down as a no. I'll tell you right now, I will always vote for the American people. I will always understand what my oath means, and guess what? Just because I left my uniform doesn't mean that my oath expired. We fight for this nation to the end. And we have to understand right now, the other reason that I didn't support it is because I am sick and tired of this George W. Bush neoconservative interventionist world police mindset that we have to take our hard-earned treasures and the lives of Americans to seal and secure the borders of other nations when we need to be securing our own damn border here at home. I wasn't elected by Zelensky or the Ukrainians. I was elected by the American people, and that's who I serve and I fight for. And when it comes to it, I'll go ahead and say it. It's so taboo. There are only two genders. And I can tell you that Title IX in women's sports is not a plan B for failures. We've seen the continual indoctrination that's gone on, whether it's critical race theory in our schools, indoctrinating our children, whether it's diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, that's actually going in and weakening our military, whether it's ESG, that's targeting our corporations. Well, let me be clear. I don't need CRT, DEI, or ESG. What we need in our communities is GOD. And if you're a true constitutionalist, you already know that we are founded upon our inalienable rights and our Christian Judeo beliefs. And if that's the case, then you'll understand exactly why I did what I did in Israel. For those of you guys who don't know me, before I got elected in 2021, I got a call from Congressman Ronnie Jackson about a woman and 3 children who was trapped in Afghanistan. This is a born and raised Amarillo, Texas native. He called the State Department. The State Department said we can text him. He called the DOD as a rear admiral. They said we're in the middle of a withdrawal. I remember I told him on the phone as we were getting our plans and our prep together, and I said, no matter what, I will not leave this family behind. We went over there, and after 11 days of the Biden administration trying to thwart our efforts, even scrambling an F-16 to try and do a flyover to intimidate our aircraft, after 11 days, our team conducted the very first successful overland rescue of Americans out of Afghanistan. And you'd have thought that after 2021, after creating 13 new Gold Star families, and I want everyone to know, do not forget August 26, 2021. Do not forget our 13 brave heroes who paid the last full measure, or their families who are left behind. Last week, I had the big privilege and honor to go sit with Paula Knaus, who is the mother of Ryan Knaus, one of the fallen heroes from August 26th. And I'll tell you something. Nothing is more humbling. Nothing is more about the sacrifices of America than walking through Arlington. And guess what? Those headstones are not aligned by their gender. They are not aligned by their religion. They are not aligned by anything other than one, which is their love of country and their love of God. But you'd have thought that after 2021 and the incident that occurred, that Joe Biden would have actually had a plan of action in case this occurs again. On October 7th, we saw the horrific, horrendous, and barbaric actions of the terrorist organization known as Hamas. They killed women, children, elderly, innocents. And I knew that this administration had no plan, no strategy, and nothing to do. So on August 10th, I finished votes. I looked at my chief of staff, and I said, I can't stand here and do nothing. So I boarded an aircraft, went overseas, and by October 11th, I had already done a ground withdrawal with over 32 Americans, 45 the next day, 159 the next time, 255 in total. Look, if Joe Biden's not going to do his job, I'll go out and do it for him. The time for talk is over. We have more than enough politicians. We need statesmen who are about action. We need people who truly understand that when we swear that oath, that it still means something. And I'll tell you something, I'm honored to represent Florida's 7th District. But if you believe in constitutionality, freedoms, liberties, our current rights, the right to our own privacy, I may not be in your district, but I promise I represent you in the Congress. Now, I'm one of those individuals that believes that we really need to make a change. And pun intended, we are at a turning point. But we could not see a more important election than what we're about to face. But we've been doing it wrong, and we've been the silent majority. And our voices need to be heard. It needs to shake the ground of all those who are opposing our rights to be an American. And we need to start prioritizing our down ballot votes, our school boards, our city council, our commissioners, our mayors, not just prioritizing your federal races, but the ones that actually impact your lives day to day. Our state legislators, our state senators, our governors. Because we have seen where when we ignore these, the left uses it to basically compromise our values. Well, I can tell you, as a father of an 8-year-old troublemaking boy, must have get it for his mother, I believe in preserving this nation, our freedoms, our rights, and our liberties for many generations to come. And as President Reagan said, we're always one generation away from losing this. But I look out amongst this crowd of patriots, and I can tell you right now, we're all here willing to fight to make sure we preserve that. Now, one of the things that I've been known for is taking very tough votes. You know, I was one of 73 that voted down the NDAA because of FISA's abuse of our individual privacies. I refuse to continue to support these AUMFs, this authorization of use of military force that subjugates our Article 1, Section 8, Clause 11 rights to declare certain wars. This interventionist mindset that we have to continue to send people abroad to protect us at home, knowing that our greatest threat sits on our southern border, our greatest threat sits within. But one of the votes that I'm very proud to have taken was I voted against this Physically Responsible Act, which increased our debt ceiling, driving us furthermore into the economic abyss. You see, people in Congress still believe that we can cut our way to prosperity. If you've ever owned a business or built a business in your life, you know that the only way that you thrive is to ensure that your account receivables, which is how much you make, and your account payables, the amount that goes out, is not inverted, because if it is, you're insolvent. Well, I'm sorry. At $34 trillion in debt, one of our greatest threats is economic collapse. And you know what? There's an easy solution. And it sits right underneath our feet. And it's drill, baby, drill. We need to get back to American energy. We need to get back to our security. We need to stop the reliance and stop referring to China as a competitor when we know that they're an adversary. We need to command and control our own resources, our own supply chain. We need to be the most innovative in the nation. We need to be able to be that shining beacon on the hill that we used to be. Right now, the only thing that we lead the world in is the strength of our military and incarcerations per capita. That's what we lead in. And the idea that we're the greatest nation on earth, and I truly believe that, is only going to continue to be that way so long as we stand up and fight. And so I'll tell you right now, I'm the only member of Congress that donates 100% of his salary back to his district every single quarter to a woman, child, or veteran charity, because it's about our service and sacrifice, not our stock trades and our financial benefits. And you know what? I truly believe that if we passed and we banned stock trading, we wouldn't even have to worry about term limits. Watch how many of them remove themselves when their paycheck's no longer there. We need to remember where we came from. We need to protect those who are in need. Our children in this nation are worth fighting for. And I will fight for this nation to my dying breath, and you can guarantee that. You know, prior to coming to Congress, I was a business owner. I was part of the greatest administration in my lifetime, which is President Donald J. Trump's administration. Was blessed to be one of the SecDef advisors. But I'll tell you something. I talked about the importance of 2024. Now, I'm from the great state of Florida, the freest state in the country. Texas, you're close too. Don't worry. I love you as well. But I can tell you right now, people are like, well, isn't this a hard decision for you, a hard endorsement? So what's so hard about it? You got a man with a proven foreign policy record who grew to one of the greatest economies we've ever seen. You got a man who can't be bought, can't be corrupted, and only cares about one thing, which is the American people. You got a person who had great policies, like the Abraham Accords, who actually led to stability and peace within the Middle East. You started seeing us withdraw from these endless wars for 20-plus years, trillions of dollars, thousands of American lives, when we accomplished nothing in those. And why? Not because of the boots. It was because of the suits. So I'll tell you right now, I was proud to be one of the very first of the state of Florida to endorse and support the greatest president of my lifetime. That's President Donald J. Trump. And the greatest part about it is that if you think that he was motivated in 2016, if you think that he was ready to fight in 2020, the bold course corrections that we're going to have to make as a nation to remain free can only be made by someone who doesn't have a re-election looming over their head, who are not scared to make unpopular decisions, who are bold in their stance and unafraid. And I think after as many indictments as he's come under, he's demonstrated that he's pretty damn bold. Now, how many in this room is ready to see President Donald J. Trump back in the White House? And I'll tell you, I'm blessed, because I've got a great governor as well. But he needs to stay as being a governor. We have to start thinking about not what's best for our egos, but what's best for our nation. We have to start understanding that our time to pull us off the cliff was last election. And that we're over the cliff, but now it's about how do we pad our fall and how do we rebuild. I like this guy every day. I'm about to bring you up to pull my speech. But I'll tell you something else that we need to be looking at. We need to look at bringing back those who are unconstitutionally purged from our military for refusing the vaccines. And we don't need to just bring them back. We need to give them full back pay, full salaries, put them back in their rank. And they need to be able to do what they were supposed to do, which is the beginning, not serve a political agenda, but serve this great nation. That's what our military is about. And for all those who've been impacted, I'll tell you, I got a great young man right here, was out of the 3rd ID, was a war fighter. But after the vaccine, it's now put him into a wheelchair. We need to fight for the vax injured. We need to ensure that they have their rights as well. Because I'll tell you right now, fighting for the people is the only thing that matters, now more than ever. You know, in our Constitution, they talk about the sacrifice of our treasures, of our name, up to including our lives. That's what patriots do. And as they say, everybody likes to be a patriot until it's time to do some patriot shit. I'm probably one of the few who actually loses money while I'm in Congress, so I'm obviously not doing this right. But I'll tell you, there's no greater honor in my lifetime than being able to go up there and fight for you, to fight for what our founding fathers put in place, to understand that it doesn't matter if you're here or abroad, that you can know that I will come for you. And that if you don't live in Florida's 7th District, but you live here and you're an American, I will always prioritize you, your families, and your economic benefits above any other nation who's claiming that they care and want to secure their own. And I truly believe in Israel's right to go forward and destroy Hamas, to eliminate these terrorist organizations. You know, If Bibi Netanyahu would have been really smart, they would have set up a Burisma in Israel to pay Hunter, and then they would have had an unlimited budget. I think that's how it works. But instead, you got a guy who walks around looking for the next child to sniff or the next ice cream to eat. I heard that some of these woke corporations like Ben & Jerry's is getting ready to introduce a hair-flavored ice cream. Maybe that'll make him up. You all say no, and I guarantee you'll be the first one in line. I want to thank every one of you, truly and sincerely from the bottom of my heart. You're patriots for being here. We have to be civically engaged. We have to out-message the left. We have to take back our party. We have to understand the significance of our constitutionality, know that we're faith-based, and know that no matter what, they'll never be able to tear us down. We must rise above it all. Thank you so much for all that you do. God bless you, and God bless these United States of America. Thank you so much.